this email address goes to the general staff, and there's my email address at our website at NIST. So all the information I've talked about is there. And if you have questions or ways that you want to move forward, sure. Right there.
Yeah, well, so at this time we're still sticking with 4011 till 16, we're waiting certification, or maybe next year or
Sure. So you're in the process of certifying as a Center of Academic Excellence, right? Yeah. So you want to follow the procedures that are out there, because it's all going to become seamless. It's not like the changes are going to be so dramatic that you're wasting your time now and you should just wait for the new things. Whatever you do now, you'll build upon that as the modifications come in and they adapt to the new.
So do you expect it's a new certification or the same number?
I don't believe the numbers are changing. I think they're just mapping the current certs to what they're seeing out there. The whole idea is that we don't want to make people do additional work just for the sake of the bureaucracy. You want to look at the content that's in there and build on that content, because this stuff isn't wrong. There isn't bad stuff out there. We just want to kind of unify it as we move forward. So you're doing exactly what you need to do in that space, and we believe that as it moves forward, it won't be this huge kind of painful thing to readjust and stay in. That's right.
Has there been, by the way, wow, that's very impressive compass of things you just did. Has there been any description about the kind of enemy that we are defending against? In other words, the natural disasters, the external enemies, internal enemies, just human mistakes. How do we know what to build or what we're trying to, in terms of curriculum, if we don't know who it is we're trying to prevent from, or what it is we're trying to prevent from harming us?
So that's a great question. I guess from my viewpoint, all of those things that you mentioned are valid. I don't think there's a program in the country that can say we've got an answer or a defense for everything. So I think the goal is to find your strengths as an institution and focus on an area that you can identify. Because not only are there the things that you mentioned, but there are going to be new things that none of us can even imagine that we have to remain open to. Certainly the insider threat. What happens when you have this trusted employee that has all the passwords, all the codes to everything, and for some reason today he came to work and he's going to become a bad actor. So this is a scenario. It's funny, but when I was at Florida State, we were actually working a scenario. We were doing a research project out of Los Alamos. The issue there was they do a lot of work with nuclear material, and so they're spending a huge amount of money on guys with guns that walk behind the scientists every time they check out, fissionable material and all that stuff. And so they were trying to figure a way to reduce that footprint. So they wanted to automate, and they wanted to be able to determine anomalies. If you were a scientist and you normally did X, Y, and Z to do an experiment, but today you come in and for some reason you're walking to the window, throwing stuff out of the window. What's happening? And the scenario was this trusted insider family got kidnapped the night before, and they're saying, you're going to go do this stuff, we're going to kill your family. And so, you become a bad actor because of that kind of scenario. And so how do you guard against that? How do you recognize that all of a sudden this guy is doing stuff that he didn't do? So we were using heuristics and AI and all kinds of sensors, motion detectors and stuff. Put together a pretty sophisticated system. A couple of my students are still working out of Los Alamos. I don't know. It ended up going into the classified side pretty quickly, so I don't know where it went. But yeah, and it's the same issue, for cyber. The stuff that's happening as far as insider threats, the stuff that happens in terms of new malware, botnets, advanced persistent threats. It continues to the advanced persistent threat thing. It's just amazing. Companies their sites have been infected for years, and they have no idea, because the goal of the infestation is not to do damage or make itself known, but just to ship out IP, intellectual property, under the radar without anybody knowing that it's going out. And we've got I've talked to a couple of people who their specialty is going in and looking at systems and discovering those things there, and and they said they found it in places, big name companies that they wouldn't talk about, but they've been there for years. These things have been doing that for years. One study I saw said that something like $1 trillion in intellectual property is going out the door every year in this country because of systems like that. So yeah, I would say pick a couple of areas. You know, you can't be comprehensive. Pick an area that you have some strength in, and target that as you move forward.
Great.
All right.
To come down here and speak to us, great as always. We have a small token of our appreciation, and thank you very much again.